Welcome to today's webinar. Today's webinar is Merchandising Your Library, Creating Spaces that Sell the Story. We are having a presentation today by Hannah Edwards from the Henderson County Public Library. She's the collections manager, and we're so thankful and appreciative to have Hannah here with us today to give this webinar. Yes, we are so excited, Hannah. I do also want to thank and recognize LSTA for sponsorship of KDLA. KDLA is supported by the Library Sciences and Technology Act, and we thank the Institute of Museum and Library Services for sponsorship of our webinar. So without further ado, let me go ahead and start the webinar. I'm going to check on the captioner again and make sure we're okay with that. And but in the meantime, let me grab Hannah's files here and get her started. Again, thank you so much, Hannah. You can take it away.
Yeah, thank you again. I'm very excited to be sharing this. I think it's so important that as librarians, we are willing to share our ideas and talk about what did and didn't work. So as she said, I'm Hannah Edwards, and I have been at HCPL for 12 years. I started as a page when I was 16 and worked my way up to collections manager. This job isn't just about a paycheck or health insurance for me, even though those things are very nice. It's about making our community happier, even if that sometimes means connecting our older patrons to Amish romances. That's just as important as anything else. But all kidding aside, I want the library to stay relevant and be here for my kids, my grandkids, and the generations after them. That's why we're constantly adapting. One way we do that is by merchandising our collection to get more materials into patrons' hands and spark interaction. It's definitely still a work in progress, but the results so far have been really, really encouraging. Having cohesive and thoughtful displays extends excellent customer service even further. It shows that staff wants to go above and beyond for the patron. Think of yourself as a salesperson, and library materials are your product. Even though you don't earn commission, it is important that you're pushing the library's product with the goal being more circulations and engaging patrons. A huge reason behind my library adapting merchandising guidelines is that our physical circulation numbers had been on a steady decline. Since implementing the guidelines in December, we have seen an increase, so yay us. The goal of merchandising is to engage your patrons more by showcasing your collection through thoughtful curation. Every display is put together with HCPL's mission in mind. Your library's version of merchandising should directly reflect its mission. When we create displays, our main goal is to make them welcoming and easy for patrons to explore. We want people to feel invited in and able to discover materials naturally. We also keep our community in mind. Displays should reflect local interests and experiences so they feel relevant and meaningful to the people that we serve. And finally, our display should spark learning and possibility. By keeping them fresh, appealing, and accessible, we help patrons connect with the collection. Overall, a great display is welcoming, community-centered, and designed to inspire discovery. Kelsey Bogan, a high school librarian and an MLIS professor, defines dynamic shelving as a user-focused approach to organizing library collections. It moves beyond traditional rows of spines, using creative displays to make resources accessible, browsable, and engaging, helping to demystify the library. Here are pictures of static versus dynamic. I'm sure you guys have seen a million pictures or similar things to this. Static is the usual way of shelving items spine out. For example, this is how you see the adult stacks at HCPL currently shelved on the left side of your screen. Dynamic is shelving items in groups by subject or genre and facing covers out. A perfect example of this is in our teen department, which is pictured here on the right. Their nonfiction is grouped together and shelved by topic, not by Dewey number. Teens also has their fiction shelved by genres and then by author's last name. This makes items more browsable for the patron. The importance of shelf locations. We are able to track our stats through our ILS Polaris using shelf locations. Correct shelf locations help patrons and staff find materials, and they allow Polaris and me to track display circulation accurately. That month-to-month data shows what's working. For example, moving a display from the hallway to near the circulation desk in front of an art wall increased its circulation from 84 to 139 in 1 month. I wanted to show you what a shelf location looks like in our ILS and in our online catalog. Highlighted in yellow, you'll see the shelf location listed as Children's Dinosaur Neighborhood. This location is assigned during cataloging within the item record. It's written in clear, plain language so both patron and staff can easily understand where to find the item. And the collections department figured out that having so many displays and locations was tricky for us and the rest of the staff. HCPL's marketing team got together with us to make this map. It shows where all of your item displays currently are, where all of our item displays currently are. This is absolutely not necessary to make for your library, but I find myself going back to look at our map all of the time, and we actually have it posted at our circulation desk and back in our storage area where we put backstock for our displays, just to help with any confusion. Adult displays generated about 1,000 circulations alone in December, which equals about 25% of our total adult circulation for that month. Displays work like point of sale marketing. Just like that Snickers bar at checkout, think of your displays of books as the displays of candy and snacks right next to the register. And simple things like front-facing items and neat stacks make a big difference in how much engagement a display gets. Pictured here are a couple of displays we have in our adult department. These are examples of full merchandise displays with stacked items in straight, neat rows with some faced out items. I did not guess at the marketing behind these tables. There's actual science behind how customers view items, whether it be at a gas station, a grocery store, or yes, even at your public library. And because of this, these tables are always having to be filled because books are always being checked out. And I like to stress too, these tables that you see here in these images are tables we have owned probably since before I was born. So you do not have to go out and spend a lot of money on furniture or even on, display book stands. Use what you have and make it work. I cannot stress that enough. And then for types of displays, we have permanent. Again, this is just what works for our library. You might not be able to adapt this to or directly translate this to yours, but you can adapt it. Permanent, we have 2 adult displays with authors such as James Patterson and Colleen Hoover that never change because they always work. James Patterson is always going to check out. And then we have rotating. We have a shelf location, or a shelf located in one of our hallways that we use for displaying children's material, where we rotate for season and holidays. Like, for example, right now we have a lot of spring and Mother's Day stuff out. And we have informational and community. Think of displays for upcoming author visits. We currently had a display, or we had a display for Silas House, who came to our library last month. And then libraries are competing with huge in-person and online stores such as Amazon and Barnes & Noble. Our goal with the merchandising program is to create a bookstore-like atmosphere within our library. With one-click buying options, people just don't want to wait anymore, which is why you will see multiple copies of popular titles on shelves, for example. And then, for example, I want a copy of the biggest titles on hand at all times to ensure when someone comes in asking for it, it's there. The top pictures are our displays. The bottom pictures are Barnes & Noble displays. We try to mimic the merchandising as best as we can. As I said previously, there are always holes to be filled because patrons are drawn to these types of displays. And then here are some basic display rules. Face items out whenever possible. Stack multiple copies to create visual impact. Avoid props or extra furniture. It can be distracting. Use marketing approved signage only. Use book stands, not book ends for display. I'm very guilty of that. I've gotten better. And keep signs in holders only, not just taping things up. We've discovered that that looks a lot better. And then, of course, keep displays full. And again, I have to stress this. This is not a one-person job. It is important that all staff adhere to these rules so it doesn't all fall onto one department or even one person. I will get into this a little more on the next slide, but patrons don't define new the way we do. So it's helpful to display a full year's worth of new books if you have the space. Shelf talkers and face outs also boost visibility and make materials easier to discover. And in the children's area, our neighborhoods use topic-based groupings like holidays, which help kids and families find what they're looking for more intuitively. As I said on the previous slide, patrons look at new books differently. A mobile library patron asked for the new Kristen Hanna. The Women was released in February of 2024. It is April of 2026. My goal is to weed and shift enough to where the center aisle in the top left corner is the new location for the new materials in our library. Down here on the left and at the top right are examples of shelf talkers and face out books. These help draw patrons in visually. Over here in the bottom right is the holiday neighborhood and children's. We went through the entire children's department and grouped all of the holiday titles together. It is another form of dynamic shelving. These examples pull patrons out in the stacks and encourage browsing. Displays need to be based on circulation data and patron interest, while maintaining balance and neutrality. Review effectiveness monthly and add dynamic shelving when possible. We align our display signage deadlines with the overall marketing program timeline, meaning if we need signage for a display, our marketing team needs to know at least a month ahead of time. And of course, there's always some wiggle room when it comes to popular topics. Trends come and go fast, so they sometimes can't be completely planned out. I pull circulation reports using Library IQ, a great tool to have. Please look into it if you guys don't have it already. This report shows how our adult collections circulate. With mystery fiction being the top performer in adult books, I make sure we display a lot of it. Essentially, you have to give the people what they want. It is very important that all staff keep an eye on current displays, that they are checked and refilled as needed throughout the day. In our library, the collections department, me and my two other people in my department, take care of the signage and overall themes, and all staff handles the day-to-day upkeep. Essentially, if a display needs attention and you see it, it is your responsibility to fix it. Staff build connections with patrons through recommendations. We encourage our staff to place holds on titles that aren't available and suggest alternatives. We encourage staff to work on their own reader's advisory. There are gems in the stacks that patrons may love that aren't seen on the bestseller list. There is a need to go beyond recommending popular authors or books. Staff can also use resources such as VegaList, Goodreads, or your coworkers to lean on. The goal is to connect people not just with materials, but with staff and each other. That's what keeps patrons coming back. And here are some key takeaways. Displays equal customer service. Merchandising is part of serving patrons well. The way materials are presented directly impacts how easily patrons discover books and how welcoming the library feels. Face out items, neat stacks, and clean signage attract attention and significantly increase circulation. Presentation matters, just like any good bookstore. Correct shelf locations and circulation reports help you understand what's working. Displays should be adjusted based on performance, theme, and location. Encourage staff to recommend read-alikes if the title the patron wants is checked out. Every interaction is a chance to sell our product and strengthen patron relationships. All staff help keep displays full, organized, and inviting throughout the day. Again, in our library, collection guides the themes, and all staff maintains daily upkeep of the displays. Okay, guys, that was fast. Threw a lot at you. Need a chance to sit with it, or you have any questions already?
Thank you, Hannah. I was thinking as you were talking too, just about some of the things that you shared with us, and I was wondering about in the children's section or the teens, if you have any tips or thoughts on what you think is working well with displays or how you think of merchandising differently to those particular audiences.
Okay, so in the teen department specifically, since we have, I know the Dewey Decimal System is set up, everything is grouped together, but we have discovered like things like homework help, each subject is in a different Dewey number, and then there was another section, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank now. Anyways, by grouping them all together, we have noticed the circulation has increased because it's just easier for, a teen to walk in and be like, I just need some homework help. All of the math, all of the English, every subject is in one spot. If I would have brought it with me, I could have told you the exact amount or the percentage that it has increased within a year, because the teen department was our test, because it's the smallest department we have. It was our test run on dynamic shelving and kind of merchandising. And the numbers have been very encouraging.
That's awesome. I was thinking too, that was one of my other questions, was about, is there a way that you can track, the volume that is taken off of your displays versus the stacks? Like, I don't know if that's, possible, or how you can know, like, oh, we had to put 3 new books on the display today, so it's really working well, or how you kind of know displays that are hitting or merchandising hitting.
So we actually have Polaris as our ILS, and Polaris allows us to track circulation based off of the shelf location. So if I have a display out of, I'm trying to think, like I said earlier, I have a spring display out for children's. It actually will say, it's set to children's hallway display. That's where it's located. So each month I can pull a report and it shows me how many books were taken and checked out off of that shelf, just by the shelf location. Is that your question? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, that's really helpful. And I'm just going to share a couple of things from the chat for those that are listening later, so you can hear some of the discussion that's happening. And then too, Hannah, we want you to share thoughts or respond as well. But one thought was we have a new marketplace area. We changed displays out monthly. This is in the Scott County Library. We
Okay.
have also been windowing in our adult stacks and oops, lost it there, and some in children's. So they've been windowing in some in adult stacks and some in children's. And then Ashley says the current collection manager doesn't like separating items by genre. They feel it will box the readers into a category, limiting the possibilities of what they read. We used to put genre stickers on spines, but they stopped that. Many patrons have complained. Have you faced this in any of has anyone faced this in your library, specifically Hannah? But anybody can share ideas, please, too, in the chat on how you're handling this in your library if you face that. And would you be able to share a report showing the pros and cons of separating by genre? So, Hannah, what do you think about that?
Hi. Yes. So we, before COVID, all of our adult fiction it was genrefied. It was shelved by large print, regular fiction, mystery, and then I think Western and sci-fi, but romance was just mixed in to our regular fiction. I don't know why. I was not here to create that rule. But then during COVID, our big COVID project was interfiling. And as I said, our numbers have been going down steadily even prior to COVID, but now they're on the up. Anyways, they're still like that now. But with our teen department, because like I said, teen has been our trial run. Like we kind of try everything there first because it's a smaller collection, just to see if it's going to be worth moving it into the larger collection. I could eventually share a report, yes, of this. I don't have access to it right now, but I wouldn't care to email it to you or share it with Tricia here and she can share it out. But with our teen department, it has actually done really well because we have a lot of readers that come in and they're like, I don't really know what I want, but I know I like horror movies. Do you have any horror books I can read? That kind of helps us. Like, yes, this is this is your area. And it's not I read horror, but not a lot of people do. So it also helps introduce readers to books maybe that even librarians aren't aware of. I hope that answered your question. But there is an increase in circulation, definitely, in our teen department where everything is genrefied.
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. And it sounds like even some of your merchandising has led to some good, it's a natural fit for a start of a reference interview or reference, interaction. So,
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And Caleb says, do you have any suggestions for merchandising services the library offers? We're working on visibility of our makerspace, for instance, so I was wondering if there was any advice for putting together displays or things that you can do in the library as well as materials. So, like other services that the library has, what's a good suggestion for how to merchandise or display those things?
Yes. So actually, we have kind of displayed what we can do in our makerspace. We have a really nice cabinet that we set up, and it is just purely what was created by either patrons or our makerspace librarian. And we get a lot of people that are like, what do you mean you can engrave a cutting board here? Just because of that. And honestly, I know like a lot of people, we were worried about people wanting to steal. So we were lucky that we had found like a cabinet already in house, but we didn't spend any money on it. You keep it as simple as possible. And make sure you have to put it in their line of sight too. Like it can't be tucked away in a corner. We tried that, it didn't work. That is really all I have on that? Mm-hmm. That is a great question though.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Next, Andrea says, do you change all shelf locations every time you put things on display?
Yes, if it is on display, it is assigned the correct shelf location.
Okay. And Caleb was replying to someone else and says, I feel like the inner file genre fiction should have the stickers on it. Without the stickers, it reduces browsability for genre readers. So
We do.
in Henderson, do you have that?
Yes, we do have the genre stickers. Yes.
Okay. And just in the chat, you guys drop in if you, in general, for discussion, are you guys using the genre stickers? That might be helpful too, to just kind of get an idea of how it's working other places. Let's see, Caleb also offers in the interim, you could just do displays that are genres. How big of a display cabinet do you have, and how much floor space does it take up for the makerspace display, or any display cabinets that you might have in Henderson other than the makerspace display cabinet? Are there other things that you display in cabinets?
So that is actually the only dedicated display cabinet that we have. The way our desk is situated, though, there's some space on the desk where we can put things like kind of in a case almost. I don't know how else to describe it. And we can like I keep saying cutting board, but like Mother's Day last year, we were like, bring in you like a recipe and we can put it on a cutting board for you, like a handwritten one. And we actually displayed one of the cutting boards on the desk within that little case. So it's hard sometimes to think outside of the box almost, because in my head I was like, well, nobody's going to pay attention to that, but it worked because it was in their face when they were at checkout. So
yeah, that's good to know. Another comment was, I've been partnering with our programmers to fix displays and book recommendation lists that go along with the programs coming and the themes that they're focusing on. It helps market their coming programs and provide additional resources for people to go beyond the program. So like clay classes, printmaking, yoga, gardening, genre book clubs, and cookbook clubs. That's a few that they've done with this partnership. So Hannah, have you guys done any specific displays, or do you have any thoughts on doing some displays that focus on programming that's coming up, or any success with things like that, or even maybe had a display like you said with the makerspace, and then maybe that prompted an idea for, oh, people are interested in this, now we'll have a program because of the display that we had.
Yes, so I believe our writing program actually came about this way. We had a lot of a lot of people that come in and they just want to discuss things they're writing, read stuff out loud. Anyway, we noticed that a bunch of people have been checking out books about writing and all this technique, and that is one of the most successful programs we have. And it came from that, and that's been going on for years. That actually happened before I started working at HCPL. But another great thing that happened, or that we have discovered, is homesteading. We have a homesteading class, and there are 60 people that I attend every time. But I make sure we are really have a lot of options for homesteading books, and we will just have them roll a cart of homesteading books up there for the program, because we have a second floor and our programming space is not really you don't always have to walk past where all of our books are. So we have to be really intentional about taking it to them for programs. And we will just set up a mini foldable display for people to kind of look at before and after the program.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next question, how often does everyone change out their displays? This is to everybody in the chat, and specifically Hannah, if you want to talk about this too. How often do you change out your display? And do you leave it up for a month or longer or shorter? Do you have a standard cycle that you go through? Do you strategically plan it ahead? Like in May, we're going to do this or that. And tell us a little bit about how that works.
So I have a great collections assistant downstairs with me. She is the Excel document queen. We sat down and we actually created a collection or a display schedule. So we have our displays scheduled out until at least 3 months in advance. And it's just in an Excel document, and it's actually shared with everyone. And the collections department, Most things are changed out once a month, like at the beginning of the month. Like April was, National Poetry Month, so we made sure on April 1st that all of our poetry books were out for the assigned display. And then we are responsible for any children's or teens displays. So the beginning of the month is very busy for us, but then there are some displays, that do well, like the ones that are best-selling author display. That's an example. It is always out. It does not change because we know James Patterson is always going to check out, and he's going to keep writing books or having people write books for him. And so there's always going to be something to be put out new.
Yeah. Sarah's got a question, but I'm gonna skip it for a minute to go to the ones that are pertaining to this conversation. And Andrea says we change ours out every month, and we've got a spreadsheet that staff have access to with a yearly plan, and she has a book list that staff can add their recommendations to for each display idea. So that's made it more of a team effort when selecting the books. So that's good too, as far as keeping everybody engaged and letting everybody, have input on that. And
Yeah, I love that.
yeah, I love that too. Caleb says we do our displays for a month generally, but have found sometimes shorter display cycles work better, especially for small topics. So depending on how branded the display needs to be flexible and responsive to immediate needs. And Emery says
Right.
our displays are monthly. We've got several people to work on this. We discuss amongst ourselves each month what we'll display between genres, holidays, special events, etc. And that makes total sense. Um, Caleb says at one point there was a display that was basically here are all the James Patterson books. We don't have room for on our shelves because
Yes, but they check out. That's what's crazy. So we have to put them out.
very prolific. um,
Yes.
okay, well, let me go back up to Sarah's question here. Can you share an example of a display or merchandise idea that didn't work? That's a great question. And how you changed what you did.
That is a good question. So I've only been actively doing this since maybe the end of November, beginning of November, around there. Um, so far, it has worked. I, but I will say before, I was focused on putting out books that are, we're trying to save them from being withdrawn. Hadn't circulated in 2 years or. And people don't check them out. So the display was not effective. And so I started leaning hard on what is giving us the best numbers in general. And once we made that shift, that's when it absolutely took off.
Yeah, that's great. Let's see. Sarah says, for anyone out there still struggling with ideas for merchandising, what's one super simple thing that you could suggest that they could try for merchandising their programs or library that's something other than the display? I know sometimes it can be hard to even get folks into the library. So, what other ideas do you have Hannah, outside of displays?
So our marketing team they're fantastic. We actually have a shared calendar where every Wednesday on our Facebook or on our social media, actually, they highlight something going on directly with the collection. So whether it's a brand new Frida McFadden coming out, or here's around the 4th of July, we always do here's a bunch of books on barbecue. That is another way that is kind of merchandising, but it's not like you're not physically doing anything inside the library, and so it has more reach that way too. Or those posts get really good interaction.
Okay. What is on your display right now, Hannah? Let me ask you that. And also, just physically, as far as where your displays are located, when the person walks in the library, do you have things kind of interspersed
Yes.
throughout and back kind of in this stacks area as well an open floor space, or is everything closer to circulation in the front?
So currently everything is closer to our circulation desk. We want to eventually take it into the stacks, but right now it's kind of a space issue. That's something we're working on. But I have recently, sorry, my computer's locked me out. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah, it locked me out. I'm sorry. Going into the stacks and just facing items out on like every other section. And again, I'll send pictures because I won't be able to, I know I can't describe it, but I'll be able to send pictures. If you could pass those along, that would be great.
Sure.
So that is one way. But yes, they're mostly around the circulation desk. And we actually, I kind of did, I guess it was like an unofficial survey where I actually sent my dad in, who is not, he does use the library, but he goes straight for the movies. So I had him I was like, what do your eyes see when you walk in this building? And from this door, because we have several points of access. And he was like, this, and this. And I was like, okay, well, that's where we need to put our displays.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really, that was like one of the best things, honestly, that's helped the most is getting somebody that's like, that not a library worker kind of help you do some of that.
Yeah, that's really helpful. And actually that's kind of relates to the discussion in the chat where Andrea and Sarah were talking about, people hesitate to, quote, mess up the display. And, people can kind of hesitate to take a book off the display. Like it might prompt an idea, but then they may not want to take the one that's out on the display because it'll, mess up the balance, or it looks like then there'll be a blank spot or whatever. So Sarah said we need librarian ninjas
Yes.
to hide under the display table to replace the books taken out, or even to just hover over them and say, "Oh, I see you're looking at that. Can I offer a suggestion?"
Pop out from behind it or something.
I have a book for you. I have a copy here. Don't worry. Caleb also mentioned that email newsletters have been a big driver for them lately. So, and you had mentioned kind of the connection with the marketing group and the merchandising.
Yes. We just bought something, it's called Orange Boy. It's an addition to Library IQ. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but it is a fantastic tool for newsletters or just for mass contacting people and being able to kind of dial into what they're into. So if you're a family, that resource can, we're going to send you all of our new kids books, our print kids books. Here's the list. So that, our newsletters have been fantastic.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Also, Andrea says they've had success with blind date with the book this year. They did it in February. People were asking for it the next month too, so they might revisit it soon. What a great idea.
Yeah, that's what we have at right now in one of our adult collections, and she finished it up yesterday and got it out, and we've already got like 10 checkouts today.
That's awesome.
Yes,
I love that you can track the checkout by location too. I don't know if everybody does that, but that's so great that you can specifically know, these things are flying off the shelf from this display here. So
I get excited for the beginning of the month because that's when I get to look, I get to see what happened.
Yeah. It looks like several people are using Orange Boy too, so that's good to know. Yeah. All right. What other questions, you guys? If you have questions, please feel free to share them in the chat, or you're welcome to unmute yourself at the bottom middle of your screen if you'd like to share a question or ideas with each other, ideas of things that you're doing at your library or things that are working for you as well. I thought it was interesting, Hannah, that you said in the beginning, don't put other things or furniture that would distract from the display. Because I think in my mind, when I heard merchandising, I was thinking, well, you're going to put something like supplemental or like related next to it. And I was like, no, maybe Hannah's saying, no, that's going to distract or deter people.
From our product. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Distract
So that,
our product to be the show, the main point, the main show.
right, right. So that made me think about it differently. Sarah says, does anyone take out an actual library billboard to promote the library? Is that a thing anymore? Does anybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
We do
You have one?
reading. Yes.
Summer reading. Uh-huh. Yeah. How about everybody else? Anybody got a blackboard going or billboard? Sorry, billboard going. Um, yeah, digital billboard. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, Hannah, we thank you so much for sharing all this information with us today. We appreciate everybody for attending the webinar. I do want to remind everybody that the webinar has been recorded so that if you had a colleague or someone else who wasn't able to make it today, or that you want to recommend it to someone in the future who joins your crew, this will be a recorded webinar in our online learning portal. There is a survey we would appreciate if you could complete for it's very brief. It's only 4 questions. I'll drop the link in the chat. Um, for the program today, a copy of the PDF of the handout is available in the Blackboard Learn window as well for the program today. And for those who've completed 75% or more of the live program, your certificate of attendance will be available in the online learning portal in your account within the next week. And this will appear on your transcript as well in the portal. So again, Hannah, we thank you so much for giving us information. Yeah, we appreciate it.
I will say, if anybody wants to come visit our library, we'd love to show it off. We can show you everything in detail. We can plan out a day. I do not care. Or I can come to you and do a presentation, whatever. I just want people to make it work. So
yes. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. We appreciate that, and I love to visit different libraries, so that's great to hear. I'm sure people
yes,
would love to come check it out.
yes, please.
All right. Thank you so much.